Emotional pain has a way of circling back, the same heartbreak, the same disappointment, the same emptiness dressed in new faces. You think you've moved on, yet somehow the wound reopens in silence. That's because pain doesn't vanish with time, it transforms only through truth. Every unhealed emotion you bury becomes a seed that grows in the dark, waiting for the right moment to surface again. And when it does, it's not to destroy you, it's to free you. Spiritual healing isn't gentle. It tears through illusions, dismantles comfort, and exposes the parts of you that have been quietly bleeding under your smile. But that confrontation, that brutal honesty, is what finally breaks the cycle. This isn't about avoiding pain or pretending to be healed. It's about remembering that pain has always been your teacher, not your curse. So if you've been wondering why you keep repeating the same patterns, this message is for you. Because once you see the truth behind your pain, it loses its power to control you. Stay until the end, and if this message finds you, subscribe. You're not here to escape your pain. You're here to understand it. 1. Pain is the soul's way of asking for your attention, not to punish but to guide. It's the one voice you've spent your life trying to silence through distractions, relationships, achievements, or numbness, yet it's the only one that tells you the truth. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. And every time you try to skip the feeling, life brings it back, disguised in a new form. The same rejection, a different face. The same abandonment, a different story. Pain is patient. It will keep visiting until you stop running and finally ask, "What are you trying to show me?" The truth is, most people don't fear pain itself. They fear what it reveals. Pain exposes where you've abandoned yourself, where you've given your power away, where you've mistaken survival for love. It shows you how you learned to settle, to silence your needs, to call fear protection. It's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to return you to yourself. When you stop resisting, something extraordinary happens. The energy behind pain begins to shift. What once felt unbearable starts to soften. The ache that lived in your chest turns into awareness. You realize the wound was never against you, it was for you. It was a mirror reflecting everything you refused to see about your own strength, your own patterns, your own worth. Pain leaves when it's understood, not avoided. Understanding doesn't erase the memory. It transforms the meaning. The same story that once haunted you becomes sacred the moment you recognize what it taught you. Pain stops being the villain and becomes the teacher that made you conscious. Every emotion carries information. Anger says your boundary was crossed. Sadness says something precious was lost. Loneliness says you've been disconnected from truth. But when you label these feelings as wrong, you silence their wisdom. You block the very message that would have set you free. The cycle breaks when you stop asking, "How do I get rid of this pain?" and start asking, "What truth is this pain trying to reveal?" That question changes everything. Maybe your pain is showing you that the person you were trying to save doesn't want to be saved. Maybe it's revealing that you've been chasing validation instead of self-respect. Or maybe it's reminding you that peace was never lost. You just stopped listening. The irony is that the moment you stop trying to heal, healing begins. Because healing isn't fixing what's broken. It's remembering that you were never broken in the first place. Pain was never your enemy. It was your initiation. and once it teaches you, it leaves quietly, not with a dramatic ending, but with a whisper that says, "You're ready now." So when pain visits again, and it will, don't close the door too quickly. Sit with it. Let it speak. Let it tell you where you've been and where you've betrayed yourself. Because when you face pain with open eyes, it transforms from the chain that binds you into the compass that guides you home. 2. Forgiveness is often sold as the final step of healing, the clean spiritual ending to every painful story. But real healing doesn't come from saying, "I forgive you." It comes from seeing clearly. Because forgiveness without awareness isn't peace. It's repression dressed as virtue. You can say you've forgiven someone 100 times, yet still feel the same ache when their name is mentioned. You can chant affirmations about letting go, but your body remembers what your mind refuses to feel. That's because the wound doesn't close through words. It closes through truth. Forgiveness that comes too early is a form of denial. It's what we do when we want the discomfort to end before the lesson begins. We call it moving on, but it's really a subtle form of avoidance, trying to leap into light without walking through the dark. Awareness, however, does the opposite. It invites you to look at the pain directly, to see the story beneath the story. You begin to notice what really hurt you. Maybe it wasn't just the betrayal. Maybe it was how easily you doubted your own worth because of it. Maybe it wasn't just their absence. It was the silence that mirrored your own neglect for yourself. Pain exposes not just what was done to you, but what you believed about yourself because of it. Awareness means facing this without flinching. It's standing before your wound and saying, "I see you. I understand you now." Not with blame, not with judgment, but with truth. Because the moment you see why something broke you, it loses its power to define you. Most people chase forgiveness to feel superior, to be the bigger person. But awareness humbles you. It reveals how you participated in your own suffering, not through fault, but through unconsciousness. It shows how you kept returning to the same energy in different people, the same pain in different settings, until your soul finally said, "Enough. Wake up." Forgiveness without awareness leaves the cycle intact. Awareness, on the other hand, dissolves it completely. Once you understand why something happened, not just intellectually, but energetically, you stop needing to forgive. There's nothing left to forgive because the story no longer holds you hostage. You begin to see the person who hurt you not as an enemy, but as an instrument, someone who delivered a lesson you were meant to face. That doesn't mean you excuse their actions or invite them back into your life. It means you take back ownership of your energy. You stop living in reaction and start living in recognition. Healing doesn't demand that you forgive. It demands that you wake up, that you see how every pain was perfectly designed to point you toward your own unconscious patterns. Your need for approval, your avoidance of truth, your belief that love must come with pain. Once you see the pattern, forgiveness happens naturally, like an afterthought, not a performance. So don't rush to forgive. Don't try to look healed before you've understood your wound. Let awareness do its work. Sit in the discomfort long enough for it to reveal its message. Because awareness is the healing. It turns pain into wisdom and blame into clarity. Forgiveness might close a chapter, but awareness rewrites the entire book. 3. Love is often mistaken for medicine. the cure we're waiting for to make all the pain disappear. But real love doesn't come to heal you. It comes to expose you, to pull back every layer you built to survive, to hold a mirror so close that you can no longer avoid the parts of yourself that still ache for worthiness. When love enters your life, it doesn't just touch your heart. It illuminates your shadows. It shows you where you still flinch at affection, where you doubt your value, where you brace for abandonment before it even arrives. Real love isn't soft in the beginning. It's surgical. It cuts through pretense, through illusion, through every defense mechanism you've mistaken for strength. That's why the beginning of deep love often feels like chaos. It's not that the love is wrong, it's that it's touching wounds you never let anyone near. The tenderness you crave becomes unbearable because it highlights the parts of you that never believed you deserved it. You don't truly meet love until it reflects your deepest insecurities back to you. It whispers, "Here, this is where you still don't believe you're enough." And that's the paradox. Love doesn't heal by soothing your pain. It heals by making you see it. Every heartbreak you've ever experienced wasn't a failure of love. It was a revelation of your unhealed self. The abandonment wasn't the wound. It was a mirror showing you where you abandoned yourself. The rejection wasn't punishment. It was the universe revealing the exact vibration within you that still seeks approval. When you understand this, love stops being something you chase or fear losing. It becomes a teacher. You realize that every connection, whether it stays or leaves, exists to bring you closer to yourself. Some loves arrive to show you your potential. Others arrive to break you open. None of them are mistakes. Real love, the kind that lasts beyond chemistry and fantasy, can only meet you at the depth you've met yourself. If your love is built on denial, it will collapse the moment truth enters. If it's built on awareness, it will survive the storms. Because love in its purest form is truth made visible. So when someone triggers your deepest pain, don't rush to blame them. Ask instead, what part of me still believes this pain defines me? That question shifts everything. You stop fighting love's lessons and start learning them. The reason so many people run from love is because they're terrified of what it will reveal. Love exposes where your heart still trembles, where your trust still fractures, where your childhood wounds still whisper that you're too much or not enough. But it also exposes your capacity for compassion, your courage to stay open, your strength to remain kind in the face of fear. Love is not a bomb, it's a mirror. It doesn't arrive to fix you. It arrives to free you from the illusion that you're broken. And when it's done showing you what you need to see, when you finally stop mistaking pain for punishment and vulnerability for weakness, that's when love stops being a battlefield. That's when it becomes peace. Not because someone healed you, but because you finally saw yourself clearly enough to stop bleeding in the dark. 4. Healing isn't about release, it's about reunion. You don't get rid of pain, you reclaim it. You gather every broken piece you once rejected and realize none of it was ever separate from you. The parts you labeled as shame, weakness, or failure were never the enemy. They were fragments of power waiting to be remembered. We've been taught to chase the light and flee the dark, to call joy good and sorrow bad, to celebrate growth only when it looks graceful. But the soul doesn't evolve through avoidance, it evolves through integration. True transformation isn't about rising above your pain. It's about going deep enough to discover the wisdom inside it. The wound and the wisdom are born together. Every heartbreak carries a lesson in boundaries. Every betrayal carries a lesson in self-trust. Every loss carves space for a higher kind of love. Pain isn't a barrier to healing. It's the doorway to it. But most people never walk through, because walking through requires presence, the courage to feel what was once unbearable. You don't heal by cutting out the dark. You heal by bringing it home, by saying to the parts of you that cry, rage, or tremble, you can stay. Integration is inclusion, the radical act of no longer exiling any part of yourself. When you stop trying to release pain as if it's poison, something shifts. You begin to realize pain isn't toxic, resistance is. What hurts most isn't the emotion itself, but your refusal to feel it. Pain is only heavy because you're still holding it at arm's length, afraid that letting it in will destroy you. But the truth is, it's been waiting to free you. Imagine every painful memory as a seed. You can either bury it in denial where it festers or plant it in awareness where it grows into strength. Integration is choosing the latter. It's allowing every memory, every scar, every moment of heartbreak to exist as part of your story without defining it. The ego wants release because it craves control. It wants to fix the wound, to tidy the mess. The soul wants integration because it craves wholeness. It knows the mess is the medicine. The moment you accept this, the struggle to escape your past ends. You begin to see beauty in your scars, not as signs of what was broken, but as proof of what was reclaimed. You stop saying, "I need to let go of this pain," and start saying, "I need to understand what this pain came to teach me." That subtle shift changes everything. You move from rejection to reverence, from healing as escape to healing as embodiment. Integration doesn't erase the wound, it sanctifies it. It turns trauma into wisdom, weakness into empathy, endings into awakenings. The same pain that once silenced you becomes the voice that guides others out of their darkness. So don't rush to release. Sit with your pain long enough to hear its language. Ask it what it's been protecting, what it's been waiting for you to see. Because pain isn't asking to leave, it's asking to belong. And when you finally let it belong, you stop being fragmented. You stop running from your story. You stand in the center of your light and darkness and realize they were never fighting, they were dancing. That's what wholeness really is. Not light without shadow, but love big enough to hold both. 5. Healing at some point must end, not because you've fixed yourself, but because you finally understand there was never anything broken. The endless search for healing is one of the ego's most subtle traps. It disguises itself as growth, but often becomes an addiction to self-improvement, a spiritual treadmill that keeps you chasing a peace you already have. You can spend years reading, meditating, journaling, and still feel like you're not there yet. Why? Because the moment you make healing a goal, you reinforce the illusion that something is wrong with you. The search becomes self-perpetuating. Every moment of discomfort is labeled as proof that you're not healed yet. Every emotion becomes a project. Every flaw becomes evidence that you're still incomplete. But healing isn't a destination. It's the quiet acceptance of what's here. The idea that peace lies on the other side of effort is the mind's trick to avoid stillness. Because true stillness is terrifying to the ego. it ends its reign. The ego thrives on striving. It keeps you focused on becoming, so you never realize you already are. The truth is, the deepest healing happens the moment you stop trying to heal. When you stop searching, the seeking energy dissolves, and what's left is presence. Raw, unfiltered, immediate. You stop analyzing your pain and start feeling it. You stop trying to transcend your humanity and start embracing it. Most people chase healing like they chase happiness as something to acquire. But healing isn't an achievement. It's a surrender. It's the moment you stop labeling your emotions as progress or regression and simply let them exist. You realize the sadness isn't a setback, it's a rhythm. The confusion isn't failure. It's part of the unfolding. The paradox of healing is that it ends the moment you stop trying to reach the end. The more you chase it, the further it moves. But the moment you stop chasing, when you drop the idea of becoming healed, you suddenly realize you already were. Every wound that ever hurt you taught you something essential. Every heartbreak shaped your capacity to love. Every loss carved out the space that peace now fills. Healing isn't linear because it's not mechanical. It's organic, cyclical, alive. And just like breathing, it doesn't need to be managed. It just needs to be allowed. When you stop searching, you become available. You stop living in the past or the future, in the when I'm healed, then I'll be free narrative, and start inhabiting this moment fully. And in that presence, you find what you were seeking all along, peace. Not a conditional, fleeting peace that depends on perfection, but a deep, unconditional peace that exists even amid imperfection. You realize that healing was never about eliminating pain. It was about remembering who you are beyond it. The pain only existed to wake you up to yourself, to strip away illusions, to reveal the part of you that cannot be hurt, lost, or broken. So stop searching. Stop chasing your wholeness as if it's hiding somewhere in the distance. Breathe into what's here now, the ache, the calm, the confusion, the clarity. Let all of it exist without needing to fix it. Because the end of healing isn't a final breakthrough or a perfect version of yourself. It's the moment you exhale and say, I am enough, even as I am still unfolding. And in that surrender, healing is complete, because the seeker has finally come home. The cycle of emotional pain ends, not when life becomes easier, but when awareness deepens. You realize pain was never your enemy. It was the teacher that kept showing you where love still needed to enter. Every wound was an invitation to awaken, every heartbreak a mirror pointing you back to yourself. The truth that breaks the cycle is radical. You were never broken to begin with. Healing was never about fixing what's wrong. It's about remembering what's whole. The more you chase freedom, the more you reinforce your captivity. But when you stop searching, when you stop demanding that life look a certain way, peace quietly returns. You start to see that even the pain served its purpose. It softened you. It cracked the armor around your heart. It taught you compassion, not as a virtue, but as survival. You understand that wholeness isn't the absence of pain. It's the ability to hold it without losing your center. So stop running, feel everything. Let life do its work through you. Because healing doesn't happen when the pain ends, it happens when resistance does. And in that surrender, you discover the freedom that was waiting for you all along.